Yeah, it's all like liquor licenses.
Hello, and welcome to today's admin meeting. It has been a while. It is May 9th, 2022, and our first item on the agenda is the approval of the admin committee minutes from February 14th. Remember that?
As far as I can remember, I think we should approve those minutes.
Agreed.
I'm pulling them up for a really quick look. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you bet. Scrolling. Valentine's Day. Yes. Yes. Valentine's Day. Yep. Looks great. Yes, 3 pages. They look fantastic. Yeah.
Excellent. So our second item is Camp Moscawana alcohol use request in the entertainment district with Deputy City Supervisor Jen Piffner.
I'll get the details started.
You can come on up.
Come on up, Sam.
Good afternoon. I'm sitting in for Amanda Argona with market starting. She is having the second day of her weekend today. So we have a request for the entertainment district from the Moscow Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center. This is a Camp Moscawana event, and I'll maybe let Sam speak to that a little bit more. What the entertainment district request is to create a footprint from 3rd to 6th. There's map and the full application in your packet tonight. These would be similar to the events that the Chamber's done in the past. This is kind of a series that they've been working on. And so that nostalgic camp vibe is what they're looking at. So it's June 4th. The resolution included in your packet outlines all of the rules and regulations and fun things that come with these events. Also looking at the first turn in the Jackson Street parking lot or First Bay to put in additional bathrooms. So that's a little bit different. So that would be the bay of parking up against the garden and then the apartments.
Moscow Hotel.
Moscow Hotel.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. Other than that, pretty typical event footprint. Just adding those additional restrooms. And then if you want to talk a little bit about the event, Sam.
Hello.
Hi. It's it's going to be our third event for our series, and it will be a summer themed block party, and we're going to add the bathrooms. And then we have the footprint from 3rd to 6th. 3rd to 6th was a little bit of a bigger footprint when we did Winterfest. And then because of the Omicron and that kind of stuff, we had less attendance than we anticipated. So we're going to watch our vendors and where we're at with that. So we may take it down to 5th. 3rd through 5th, but we're just going to request 3rd through 6th. And then that way we don't have to extend it. We just have to shrink it if we need to.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
Is 4 to 8 the same hours we've done for the other 2 events?
Yes.
Dre's saying.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Given daylight hours. But 4-hour period is the norm. So that's far. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's the same time period we're using for Art Walk as well.
Love it.
Great. Did anyone have any questions or anything else?
I just have a question. With the new public bathrooms there, why is there a need for additional porta potties?
Because when we did
Yeah.
Moscoverfest, we sold over 1,000 tickets and we sold out. And the reason that we couldn't sell any more tickets is because of our glassware. And so we're trying to extend the event to make it larger because we did have a lot of folks we had to turn away. So we've ordered over 1,500 glasses for the summer event, and only having 2 stalls in each bathroom for 1,000 people turned out to be a little problematic. And that was the biggest area that the police saw the confusion when they were taking their glasses to the restroom. So we're just kind of extending it so that people can walk back to that space with their glassware so they don't have to police it as much. And then just adding some bathrooms so they're not congregated for long periods of time.
Okay.
Yeah, we were seeing long lines, trying to keep maintenance upkeep and all of the toilet paper and all those types of things. Just with the 1,000-person RSVP, it was a lot.
Okay.
It was just capacity.
Great. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. I'd move that we approve the resolution allowing for the temporary suspension of the open container law for Camp Moscawana
Agreed.
for June
Agreed.
4th.
And consent agenda is good by me.
Okay.
That sounds good to you, Julia?
Yep. Hopefully it won't snow. It's June 4th.
We're hoping.
We should still knock on wood.
Yeah.
Just in case.
We're going to put our ski suits in our office.
I am not going to trust any weather.
That brings us to item number 3, Idaho Commission on the Arts ARPA grant with Megan Cherry, Arts Program Manager. Hi.
Hi, thank you. So today I'm bringing an ARPA grant ratification request. This is a grant opportunity that comes through the Idaho Commission on the Arts, but the funding originates from the ARPA American Rescue Plan Act. And we learned about the opportunity on the 22nd, and they had a deadline set for today. So the application has already been submitted, and didn't really have the opportunity to get it in front of committee and council prior to that. This grant program is fairly simple in terms of application and in terms of reporting. They're very generous in terms of the scope of what they will fund. In this case, we're targeting it to be offsetting revenue for personnel in this fiscal year. So just bringing in a little bit more revenue to this year. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Glad you made it on the deadline. Yeah. Any questions for
Really good.
Megan?
Without this money, would you not have enough for full-time personnel?
I mean, the personnel costs are already approved in this fiscal year's budget. This is just an additional piece of revenue to offset those costs. So, I mean, we would not be cutting a position or cutting staff time back without these grant funds. This is just a bonus funding.
This part, and this is maybe a Bill question, this part of the budget has always confused me a little bit. So if we are able to offset personnel expenses, does the arts budget retain that funding or does it get rolled over into the general fund in the next cycle?
Traditionally, it's going to get rolled over into the general fund. If we don't have that expenditure, because typically that transfer happens, so we transfer from the general fund to the Arts, Culture, and Recreation Fund. And we do that at the end of the year to match the expenditure. So if that expenditure is not realized, I guess I'd have to look back and see where these revenues are hitting, if they're hitting general fund grants or if they're hitting arts and culture, general fund? Rex grants. So if that's the case, it could potentially stay in that fund. I'll go back. I can certainly talk with Sarah about how those funds are tracked.
Because it would be nice if we could retain it for arts programming and just keep it, but I don't know if that's something that would be outside of the scope of what we typically do.
Yeah, typically we don't accrue, for the operation budgets, whether it's general fund or it's arts and culture and rec, those funds are appropriations to be spent that year and they are not carried over. They would typically roll into unanticipated fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. But I can certainly talk with Sarah to see how, if this grant is awarded and we do receive those funds, how we might be able to allocate that to the arts programming.
I'd be interested in that.
One thing to keep in mind about that is that we will be responsible at reporting time for. They said we could use it for personnel costs, either new or existing personnel, utilities, rents. This is very similar to this is the second time we've applied for ARPA funds through the arts department. Artist contracts, that's another option. We selected the full-time personnel option because it was going to be the simplest for reporting for revenue for FY22. So, but obviously as directed. So however you folks would like to see us handle that, we will.
I have a nuts and bolts question. I'm trying to understand. So it sounds like this is not of sincere concern since we already have received funds through this mechanism. But this talks about it being a nonprofit with a 501c3 designation. And so I'm trying to understand, are we applying for it through like Heart of the Arts, or are we doing like, how does the arts program fit into this designation? Am I asking that question? Well, I'm trying to figure out, because it talks about, and maybe I'm misunderstanding what entities qualify for this grant.
If you look at the line, it says have an operation in Idaho for at least 1 year as a nonprofit, IRS tax exempt 501c3 organization or a unit of
Oh
local
gosh, that's
county,
embarrassing.
tribal, or
It is
state
right there.
government.
Unit
Yeah.
of local. Okay,
Yep.
got it. Okay, thanks.
Well, the
It's like, I didn't realize
the
it was
first
a
line
C3.
says nonprofit too, so it's confusing.
Okay. Great. That's all I had.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
I think good for consent
Yeah,
with approval.
can approve it for consent.
Thank you.
Great. And then our last item for the day, rendezvous in the park beer and wine garden request with David Schott, Parks and Facilities Manager.
And I'm going to fully disclose right now, I should probably abstain from this conversation. I'm an active member on the board, so I will leave it up to Julia and Ann to ask any questions.
Well, thank you for having me this afternoon. Again, this is the Rendezvous in the Park Beer and Wine Garden request for 2022. Rendezvous in Moscow is requesting City Council approve a resolution allowing them to have the beer and wine garden at East City Park. They've done this for years. It'll be held July 13th through the 17th. The hours of the request is from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. The event's open to the public, and we haven't any issues in the past with this. And so security will once again be provided by no issues. It's a little bit different than last time, although in a previous year they had this same location, kind of the east side of the park. And so the map's included here as well. With that, staff's recommending approval. And with that, I'd take any questions or comments.
Sounds good. Any questions for David?
No, that seems like we
Yeah.
do this one's every year, so it's kind of pretty straightforward.
I think consent with the recommendation for approval sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there any staff reports today, Bill?
There are not.
Well, then that brings us to adjournment.
That was fast.
So moved.
Yeah, on board.
All right.
Sounds good.